Hello and welcome to this final first look exploring session looking at the Tragedy of Hoffman, or Revenge for a Father, or, I think more accurately, all the things. So yes, we're enjoying this. It's very silly, as well as I'm sure very tragic and moving in its own way, but it's also very, very, very silly. And so the interesting questions about genre may or may not appear. So we're going from Act 4, Scene 3, and the plot has reached a crisis as the assumed identity of Hoffman of Otto is going to hit something of a speed bump as the murdered Otto's mother's turned up. So that's going to throw something of a spanner in the works. So to read and discover what's going on, reading The Duchess, Martha is...
Hello, my name is Lynn Freitas. I'm a college composition teacher, and I'm coming to you from the dark northwestern United States.
Reading Hoffman is...
I'm Lois Potter, retired academic, coming to you from London.
Reading Saxony is...
Hello, my name's Francis Cox. I'm an actor living in Amsterdam.
Reading Mathias is...
Alan, wondering whether he'll survive this character today as opposed to yesterday, where I died 3 times.
Yes, place your bets now. Who's going to survive the narrative of this play? Reading Lorrique is...
Sarah Blake, looking forward to more murders.
Who doesn't? Reading First Lord, Lucibella, and Second Lord is...
Aliki, Chapple, also in gleeful anticipation of more bloodbath.
Yes, if there isn't lots of blood, we will denounce this ending of this play. And I'm your host, Robert Crighton. I will be reading stage directions. I will also read Rodorick, because I think I have to. So, Act 4, Scene 3. There is a flourish. Enter as many as may be spared, with lights. I always love it when they do that in a stage direction. It's going, however many you've got that day, if you're a bit short, if someone's got the sniffles, it doesn't matter too much. But, cram everyone on you can. With lights, and make a lane kneeling, while Martha, the Duchess, like a mourner with her train, passeth through.
Our sun is somewhat slack, as we perceive by this delaying, while our heart is feared and our eyes dimmed with expectation, as are the lights of such as on the beach, with many a longing, yet with littler proof, stand waiting in return of those they love.
Enter Lorrique and falls on his knees.
His Excellence no doubt hath great affairs, and his familiar friend Lorrique is come.
Kneel not, Lorrique, I prithee. Glad my heart with thy tongue's true report of my son Otto, whom, since his princely father is deceased, I'm come from Lüneburg, oppressed with grief in person, to salute him for our duke.
Your mother-like affection and high care his highness doth return with duteous thanks, desiring pardon of your excellence that he did not first salute your grace, but dismal accidents and bloody deeds, poisonings, treasons, so disturb the state and grieve his gentle mind since the late death of your right princely brother Ferdinand, that, like the careful captain of a band, he is compelled to be the last in field. Yet he protests by me, and I for him, that no soft rest shall enter his grieved eyes till he behold your presence, more desired than the large empire of the wide earth. Only he prays that you would take your rest, for in your soft content his heart is blessed.
Spread me a carpet on the humble earth, my hand shall be the pillow to my head, this step my bolster, and this place my bed.
Your highness will take harm.
Nay, never fear. A heart with sorrow filled sleeps anywhere. Will our son come tonight?
Madam, he will.
See our train lodged, and then, Lorrique, stand for captain of the guard that wait on us. Go all away, nobody stay with me, except our son come, or we chance to call. Trouble us not. Good night unto you all.
And all with doing their duty depart, and she sits down having a candle by her and reads.
Quo fugiat mortale genus, nil denique tutum est. Crudelis nam mors omnia falce secat, nil durum, nil non mortis, penetrabile telis. Omnia via demit mors violenta sua. 'Tis true. The wise, the fool, the rich, the poor, the fair and the deformed fall. Their life turns air. The king and the captain are in this alike. None hath free hold of life, but they are still something. When death, heaven's steward, comes, tenants at will. I lay me down and rest in thee, my trust. If I wake never more till all flesh rise, I sleep a happy sleep. Sin in me dies.
And she lies down to have a kip. Enter Hoffman and Lorrique.
Art sure she's asleep?
I cannot tell. Be not too hasty.
She stirs not. She's fast. Sleep sweet, fair Duchess, for thou sleepst thy last. Endymion's love, muffle in clouds thy face, and all ye yellow tapers of the heavens, veil your clear brightness in Cimmerian mists. Let not one light my black deed beautify, for with one stroke virtue and honor die. And yet we must not kill her in this kind. Weapons draw blood. Blood shed will plainly prove the worthy Duchess, worth less of her death, was murdered, and the guards are witnesses, none entered but ourselves.
Then strangle her. Here is a towel, sir.
Good. Kneel and help. Compass her neck about. Alas, poor lady, thou sleepst here secure, and never dreamst of what thou shalt endure.
Nay, my good lord, dispatch.
What, ruthless hind? Shall I wrong nature that did ne'er compose one of her sex so perfect? Prithee, stay. Suppose we kill her thus. About her neck, circles of purple blood will change the hue of this white porphyry. Then 'twill be inquired, and we held ever hateful for the act.
Then place beneath her nostrils this small box containing such a powder as hath power, being set on fire, to suffocate each sense without the sight of wound or show of wrong.
That's excellent. Fetch fire, or do not stay. The candle shall suffice. Yet that burns dim and drops its waxen tears, as if it mourned to be an agent in a deed so dark.
Will you confound yourself by dotage? Speak! Swoons, I'll confound her as she lingers thus.
Thou wert as good and better, note my words, even to the top of some dreadful scar, and thence fall headlong on the under rocks, or set thy breast against a cannon fired when iron death flies thence on flaming wings, or with thy shoulders Atlas-like attempt to bear the ruins of a falling tower, or swim the ocean, or run quick to hell, as dead. Assure thyself no better place than once look frowning on this angel's face. Confound her. Black confusion be my grave. Whisper one word more, thou diest, base slave.
I've done. I'll honour her, if you command.
She stirs, and when she wakes, observe me well. Soothe up whate'er I say touching Prince Otho.
Prince Otto, Is our son come? Who's there, Lorrique?
What shall I answer her?
Who's thou that thou talkst with?
The most indebted servant to your grace of any creature underneath the moon.
Oh, I prithee, friend, be brief. What is thy name? I know thee not. What business hast thou here? Art thou a messenger come from our son? If so, acquaint us with the news thou bringest.
I saw your highness' son, a Lorrique here knows, the last of any living.
Living? Heaven help me, I trust my son hath no commerce with death.
Your son, no doubt, is well in blessed state.
My heart is smitten through thy answer, Lorrique. Where is thy gracious lord?
In heaven, I hope.
True, madam. He did perish in the wreck when he came first by sea from Lubeck haven.
What false impostor then hath not my care abused my princely brother Ferdinand, gotten his dukedom in my dead son's name?
I grant him an impostor, therein false, but when your highness hears the circumstance, I know your wisdom and meek piety will judge him well deserving in your eyes.
What can be said now I have lost my son? Or how can this base-tongued hypocrite excuse concealing his master's death? Unhappy Martha, in thine age undone, robbed of a brother, cheated of a son.
Hear me with patience. For that pity's sake you showed my captive body by the tears you shed when my poor father, dragged to death, endured all violence at their tyrant hands, by all your mercies poured on him and me that like cool rain somewhat allayed the heat of our sad torments and red sufferings. Hear me but speak, a little to repay with gratitude the favors I received.
Art thou the luckless son of that sad man, the Lord of Bornholm, sometime Admiral?
I am his only son, whom you set free. Therefore submissively I kneel, and crave you would with patience hear your servant speak.
Be brief, my swollen heart is at point to break.
I stood upon the top of the high scar when I beheld the splitted ship let in devouring ruin in the shape of waves. Some got on rafts, but were soon cast off as they were seated. Many strode the mast, but the sea's working was so violent that nothing could preserve them from their fray. They died and were entombed in the deep, except some two the surges washed ashore, Prince Otho being one, who on Lorrique's back hung with clasped arms that never could unfold.
Why, as well as Lorrique, does he not live? And how was he found clasped upon his back, except that he had lice to fold his hands?
Madam, your highness errs in that conceit. For men that die by drowning, in their death hold surely what they clasp while they have breath.
Full well he held me, and he sunk me too.
I'll witness, when I had recovered him, the prince's head being split against a rock past all recover, Lorrique, in desperate rage, sought sundry means to spoil his new-gained life, exclaiming for his master, cursing heaven for being unjust to you, though not to him, for robbing you of comfort in your son. Oh, gracious lady, said this grieved man, could I but work a means to calm her grief, some reasonable course to keep black care from her white bosom, I were happy then. But knowing this, her heart will sink with woe, and I am ranked with miserablest of men.
Aye, God's my witness, these were my laments. Till Hoffman, being willing as myself, did for his love for you that pitied him, take on him to be called by your son's name, which now he must refuse, except your grace accept his service in Prince Otto's place.
If this that you protest be true, your care was like a long reprieve. The date worn out, the execution of my woe is come, and I must suffer it with patience. Where have you laid the body of my son?
Within the chapel of the Hermitage, some half-mile hence.
I'll build me there a cell, made like a tomb, till death therein I'll dwell. Yet for thy wrongs, young man, attend my words. Since neither Ferdinand nor Lüneburg have any heirs to sway their several states, I'll work what lies in me to make thee duke. And since you are accepted for my son, attempting it only to do me good, I here adopt thee mine, christen thee Otto. Mine eyes are now the front, the water, tears that do baptize thee in thy borrowed name.
I thank your highness, and of just heaven crave. The ground I wrong you in may turn my grave.
Lights to our chamber, now our fears are past. What we long doubted is proved true at last. Attend us, son.
We'll wait upon your grace.
Exeunt Duchess and Lorrique.
Son, this is somewhat. This will blear the eyes of the rude vulgar, but this serves not me. Dukedoms I will have. Them my sword shall win if any interposer cross my will. But, new made mother, there's another fire burns in this liver, lust and hot desire, which you must quench. Must? Aye, and shall. I know women will like, however they say no. And since my heart is knit unto her eyes, if she, being sanctimonious, hate my suit in love, this course I'll take. If she deny, force her. True, so, si non blanditius, vae.
Exit Hoffman. So, just a question actually for the room. At the beginning of this scene, who thought this is where we'd be? I mean, it's this thing. I was fully expecting the kind of back and forth between Hoffman and Lorrique. If you're like, okay, so how are we going to do the murder? Well, we can't do stabbiness because there'll be blood everywhere. We can't do strangliness because people know marks around the neck. Oh, I've got a powder that I can burn under. I don't even know what that is. And you know, I don't know. Has he brought a gas mask with him as well? So they don't. Anyway. So that, and then it turns out that Hoffman is so enamored that he's going to brazen this whole thing out, and somehow he manages to persuade through pure sophistry that that he did it all for the best, and she actually adopts him as her son, and there we go. And yeah, so a lot to discuss there. Aliki, then Lynn.
Not only adopts her as her son, but then decides that this is the wrong course of action, as far as I can tell, because he desires her so much.
Mm.
So, yeah, I mean, that last twist kind of, I wasn't expecting any of it, but the last one was, what?
Well, in a sense, I sort of was expecting that last twist because of his hesitation to kill her at the beginning of that sequence. But yeah, that he's going to go that far. I mean, it's this self-destructiveness thing, isn't it? That, you know, at what point does someone like this stop? And it's like, you know,
yeah,
he's actually got everything he could possibly want, and he's just going to destroy everything. And it's a certain problem that some other texts have as well, that we haven't got to yet, where the primary agent decides to do something random in Act 5 that just is going to just destroy everything, and there's not a particularly good reason for it except we need to get to a climax. And so yeah, Lynn.
Yeah, so you just have to admire Hoffman's, what we in the state call balls. I mean, the stones on that guy, he just like, the audacity. It's just like, I know, I'll tell her son died by accident, and I'm pretending to be him because to save her feelings.
Yeah, and it's the way that he and Lorrique sort of improvise it together. And there's a moment, actually, it feels like Lorrique says, "Full well he held me, and he sunk me too." And it's like you can almost see Hoffman standing on his foot, saying, "No, I'll finish this bit off. Thank you very much. Don't pound your part." And yeah, you've got this double act, but also because it's challenging us, because we've really enjoyed being with Hoffman because he's just been murdering people. But now we get to what he's doing now, and it's going, "Oh no, actually, no." Actually, at what point does the fun stop when we slip from murder to something else?
Yeah, and we kind of don't care that he's killing all these people.
No.
I mean, Ferdinand actually seemed like a pretty nice guy, but it's just like, oh well. So I mean, that's interesting, and I wonder if that's us, or if maybe that was an effect that obtained in its original performance, that we're kind of. We're kind of with him till he turns rapist, and it's just like, oh,
yeah, especially as because we're at the top of the play. We're talking about the revenge for a father, which is sort of this MacGuffin that doesn't really, there's because of course is this question of was his father was fairly lawfully taken out. It's not like it was was some so it's like none of this is reasonable at all, and it's just it's entertaining until it's not. But yeah, death and destruction's fine, but there are limits. Francis, you're muted at the moment.
Yeah, that last line where he says, "Well, if she doesn't welcome my suit, I'm just going to rape her." I mean, it's quite chilling, and it is like the audience has got so habituated to his murdering that this is just put in there to kind of wake us all up.
Yeah, it's sometimes one of these arguments for the nature of comedy and tragedy is it's a lesson. You're teaching people about things you shouldn't do, and it's maybe it's because it's been so entertaining so far that you actually have to do some kind of reality check for the audience so that they're not really getting into this murder thing, but maybe not. Other thoughts before we move into Act 5? I let that scene go quite long because I thought it's doing quite a lot, and we should let it flow. But I will start a little bit more going forward. Francis,
I was also going to say I just thought it was really funny that Lorrique just happened to have this little box of poison on him. You know what I mean?
I think once you've worked for Hoffman long enough, you start going. What's he likely to need next week?
Yeah. Like a good servant, foresee your master's needs.
Yeah. Don't wait for him to ask for it. Just have it there ready. Just to hand. Sarah.
This has kind of been partly already said, but I think the fact that when he announces that he'll just rape her if he can't seduce her, I think the thing that makes that more shocking as well is the fact that she's the one who rescued him. And I have to say, when he was first demurring about killing her, I assumed that was the reason. I assumed that it was actually, he was feeling like, oh yeah, she was the mother figure who kind of saved me. And he had maybe, the feelings were kind of more towards like a maternal figure. And then, of course, they turned out not to be. And so I think that did just make that really kind of like proper. Yeah, it is a bit like a slap in the face after all the glee we've had with all the other horrible crimes. But that's been talked about already.
Yeah, well, it's a valuable lesson to just remind us that we're all terrible people. So there we go. Okay, let's go into Act 5, Scene 1. Enter the Duke of Saxony, Rodorick and Mathias.
You not found her yet?
Not I.
Nor I.
Then I believe, born by a fit of rage, she has done violence to a bright frame and fallen upon the bosom of the bait.
What reason leads you to believe it, son?
I did perceive her some half-hour since, clambering up the steepness of the rock, but whether up or down I could not guess, by reason of the distance.
Enter Lucibella with rich clothes. Stand aside, she comes. Let her not scape us now.
What has she got? Apparel, aye, and rich. Poor soul, she in her idle lunacy hath ta'en it from some house where 'twill be missed.
Let's circle her about, lest, spying us, she run away with wanted nimbleness. Fairest, well met.
Well overtaken, sir.
What have you here?
And you too, heartily.
I'm sure you know me.
Why, that's well. I like that. That you are well, and you. Goodbye.
Nay,
Make
nay.
it go.
Nay, you must not go. We'll hold you now.
Why, that's well done. Pray, come and see my house. I have a fine house now, and goodly knacks, and gay apparel. Look here, this is brave. And 2 lean porters, starved for lack of meat. Pray, let go my arms.
And unveils the skeletons.
Look, here they be.
Horrid sight!
They never start, I pray. Is it not like I keep a princely house when I have such fat porters at my gate?
What should this mean? Why, in this wood, so thick, so solitary and remote, from common road of men, should these hang thus? Brother, your hermitage is not far hence. When knew you any execution here?
I ne'er knew any, and these bones are green. Then this less anatomy have not hung long. The bigger by the moss and dryness seems of more continuance.
What's on their heads?
Why, golden crowns. My porters shall be kings, and hide their bare bones with these gay weeds.
I do remember the Admiral Hoffman that kept the island of Bornholm was by the Duke of Prussia adjudged to have his head seared with the burning crown, and after made a bare anatomy, which, by his son, was from the gallows stolen.
Aye, that same son of his, but where lives he?
No doubt he doth possess some cave hard by.
Come, go with me. I'll show you where he dwells. Or somebody. I know not who it is. Here, look here. There's a way goes down. Down, down, hey, down, down. I sung that song while Rodorick slept with me.
This is some cave. Let's boldly enter in and learn the mystery of that sad sight. Come, lady, guide us in. You know the way.
True. That's the way. You cannot miss the path. The way to death and black destruction is the wide way. Nobody's now at home. Or, tarry, peradventure, here comes some who'll tell you more.
But before we have the entrance of some, I think it's important to do this callback. We're giving us some evidence as to, you know, what the skeletons are supposed to look. We were discussing this earlier. How much skeleton was skeleton, and how much, you know. So we're also getting some senses of how big people are. So that there's the lesser anatomy and the bigger. So by the moss and dryness has been there for a while. Whereas the less has not hung long. So there should be a good differentiation between these. I think Props Master needs to have different skeletons for Act 5 to show that they've been rotting there for a bit longer and things. And yeah, so they found the serial killer's lair where he keeps his trophies. Lynn, muted at the moment.
But Hoffman's not there. Who is there? Yeah. And just by the way, Aliki's Lucibella was just slaying me. I was listening to this as I'm ready to get my cup of coffee, and it's just like, oh my god, this is like, it's like it's just beyond funny to me. It's just
I do particularly like this sort of genre of the person going, oh look, these are my friends.
Yeah. Or somebody lives there, I don't know who,
Yeah, and you know where it's going, and it's I have a fine house now, goodly knacks, and two lean porters starved for lack of meat, and you're going, and you know exactly where this is going as well. You're just going, open the box. Lois.
Yeah, I really like the way Lucibella is treated in this. I mean, since I can't remember what comes where, I'm not sure what to say about her. But I mean, she goes between being mad and being surprisingly helpful. And
yes, we had a madness scene earlier with lots of flowers.
Yeah. But she has moments of being surprisingly sane or kind of not off course in the plot.
Yes. Here, let me show you where the plot is going over here. Francis.
Yeah, I just liked that that sort of little bit of forensic examination of the skeletons. It was like we wandered into CSI or something.
Yes, Rodorick's there with he's taking the photos and he's doing the post-mortem.
He's wearing the protective clothing.
Yeah. Okay, a brief sojourn there. We will now move on. Enter the Duchess of Lüneburg and Lorrique.
Stand close. This is Lorrique. I do not know the lady that comes with him.
I've seen that countenance.
Stand close, I pray. My heart divines some strange and horrid act will be revealed.
Nay, that's most true. A fellow with a red cap told me so, and bade me keep these clothes and give them to a fair lady in a morning gown. Let go my arms. I will not run away. Thank you. Now you shall see me stay. By my troth I will. By my maidenhead I will.
Lorrique, return unto the beaten path. I asked thee for a solitary plot, and thou hast brought me to the dismalest grove that ever I beheld. No wood nymph here seek with the agile steps to outstrip the roe, nor doth the yew suck from the queachy plot. The rankness and the venom of the earth, it seems frequentless for the use of men. Some basilisk or poisonous serpent's den.
It is indeed an undelightful walk. But if I do not err in my belief, I think the ground, the trees, the rocks, the springs have, since my princely master Otto's wreck, appeared more dismal than they did before, in memory of his untimeless fall. For hereabouts the place where his fair body lay, deformed by death, here Hoffman's son and I embalmed him, after we had concluded to deceive your sacred person and Duke Ferdinand by causing Hoffman to assume his name.
It's very strange.
Tarry, you shall hear all the knavery. Oh, nay, tarry, you shall hear all the knavery anon.
Where's the chapel that you laid him in?
Oh, 'tis an old chapel near the hermitage.
But was the hermit at his burial?
No, Hoffman and I only digged the grave, played priest and clerk to keep his burial close.
Most admirable.
Nay, pray you, peace.
Alas, poor son, the soul of my delights, thou in thy end wert robbed of funeral rites. None sung thy requiem, no friends closed thy eyes, nor laid the hallowed earth upon thy lips. Thou wert not houselled, neither did the bells ring, blessed peals, nor toll thy funeral knell. Thou went from death as those that sink to hell. Where's the apparel that I bade him wear against the force of witches and their spells?
We buried it with him. It was his shroud. The desert woods no fitter means allowed.
I think he lies. Now, by my troth, that gentleman smells knave.
Swear one thing to me ere we leave this place, whether young Hoffman did the most he might to save my son.
Oh, by heaven, it seems he did, but all was vain. The flinty rocks had cut his tender skin, and the rough water washed away his brain.
Liar! Liar! Lickdish!
How now? What woman's this? What men are these?
A poor maiden mistress has a suit to you, and 'tis a good suit, very good apparel. Lo, here I come, a-wooing my ding-dong. Lo, here we come, a-suing my darling. Lo, here I come, a-praying to hide, abide. Ah, how do you, lady? Well, I thank God. Will you buy a bargain? 'Tis fine apparel.
Run, my life's blood. Comfort my troubled heart that trembles at the sight of this attire. Lorrique, look on them. Knowest thou not these clothes, nor the distracted bringer? Prithee, speak.
By me, accursed damned! I know them both. Oh, the bringer is the Austrian Lucibella.
Aye, you say true. I am the very same.
The apparel was my lord's, your princely son's.
This is not sea wet. If my son were drowned, why then, thus dry is his apparel thus found. Lord, oh me accursed.
I think this is
Oh,
Lorrique.
yes. Yeah,
Okay.
that will be Lorrique. Sorry.
Oh, me accursed! Oh, miserable me! Fall heaven and hide my shame! Gape earth, rise sea, swallow, overwhelm me! Wherefore should I live, the most perfidious wretch that ever breathed, and base consenter to my dear lord's death?
Eh, look you here. Do you see these poor starved ghosts? Can you tell me whose they be?
Alas, what are they? What are you that seem in civil habit to hide ruthless hearts? Lorrique, what are they? What wilt thou attempt?
Lorrique draws and offers to kill himself.
Help, gentlemen, if you be gentlemen, and stay this fellow from despairing ill.
I was ordained unto perdition, stay me not! For when ye know the mischiefs I have done, at least consented to, through coward fear, you would not stop me. If I skipped in quick to that black, bottomless, and ruthless gulf where everlasting sorrow like linked chains fetters the wretched in eternal night.
What hast thou done?
Knavery, I warrant you. Tell truth and shame the devil, my boy. Do, and thou shalt have a fine thing by and by.
I take your highness for that reverend Duchess, late wife unto the Duke of Lüneburg.
I am that wretched, childless widow, sir.
Princess, hear me, and I will briefly tell how you came childless, you brotherless, you husbandless and fatherless, all I'll tell you, having ended at my fall.
Well, forward.
Oh, be it so. I have deserved the greatest cruelty to be kept living when I long to die.
I charge thee, setting by all circumstance, thou utter what thou knowest. My heart is steel, nor can it suffer more than it doth feel.
Then thus. Prince Otto and I scaped the wreck, came safe ashore to this accursed plot where we met Hoffman, who upon yon tree preserved his father's bare anatomy. The biggest of those two were those strong bones that acted mighty deeds. Hoffman, the son, full of revenge and hate against every hand that wrought his father's hurt, yet gilded o'er his envy with fair shows, and entertained us as friendly terms as falsehood could invent. 'Tis well known, bitter deceit useth the sweetest speech. At length he took advantage, bound my lord, and in a chain tied him to yonder rock, while with a burning crown he seared in twain the purple veins, strong sinews, arteries, nerves, and every cartilage about the head, in which sad torment the mild prince fell dead.
Did Hoffman this, and thou, conceals the deed.
Oh, pardon my fear, dread madam.
Go on. I am confident to hear all cruelty and am resolved to act some, if no hand but mine will else attempt the murderer's end.
Oh, be patient. You will find associates, that there are many murders more behind.
What did he do with the body of my son?
Buried the flesh. The bones are they that hang close by his father's.
Let them hang a while. Hope of revenge in wrath doth make me smile.
Pray let him tell the rest.
Well, this acted Hoffman forced me to conceal the murder of my lord and threatened more than death to many torments, till I swore to call him Otto and say he was your son. I swore and kept my oath.
Oh, heaven.
Oh, devil!
Pray you, peace.
Then sent he me for you, and you he sent, or, as I best remember, led you on unto the chapel porch, where he himself appointed them to stay. And there you know what happened in your wrath.
To me asleep, and to my hapless Rodorick in my arms.
On. That deed is writ among the acts of guilt. A brother's sword, a brother's lifeblood spilt.
Proceed. What's next? Killed he not Austria?
He did.
Villain! Did he kill my father, and make my brother kill my husband too?
Go forward.
After all these hated murders, he taught the foolish prince, in the disguise of a French doctor, to prepare a poison, which was the death of princely Ferdinand. Next plot, he purposed your Grace's death, and had I not opposed my strength of tears, you had been murdered as you lay asleep.
Let's hear no more.
Yes, in fact, we'll just pause briefly there. Because we've just listened to a lengthy exposition of everything that happened previously in the play. But there is pleasure to be had out of some of this. There is a lot of it. Lorrique confesses the confession, and I think, Sarah, you did pick out a lot of really nice elements of the special pleading going on there. Oh, he forced me to do it. I didn't want to. It was against my will.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of confesses, but he kind of doesn't. Like, he confesses on all of Hoffman's part in it, but he kind of sweeps his own bit, like, very conveniently under the rug there.
Yeah.
It's just everybody else's reactions, it's just, oh, heaven, oh, devil, it's yeah. Lynn.
Yeah, but yeah, Lorrique. Up to now, Lorrique and Hoffman have been just a brilliant double act, and this is such a great twist. I mean, for a minute, I thought this isn't really consistent with Lorrique's character, but oh well, it's a play, and it turns out he's read the room. He's like, the jig is up. Lucibella, I don't know how she knows, but she knows I got to do damage control here, so I'm going to spill the beans. But in the end, I'm going to spin it so that it looks like Hoffman's way guiltier than I am. And so he tells the truth more or less up till the end, where he completely reverses the conversation about the Duchess's death, because Lorrique was the one saying, let's just off her, let's just kill her. I got poison, stab her. And it was Hoffman who was hesitating, but he reverses those roles. It's like, I wanted to let you live, but Hoffman insisted on, I talked him out of it. So it's that little reversal at the end that tells you, oh, he's not telling the whole truth. He's just trying to make the best of a bad situation and save his own skin if possible.
And considering that he's just literally done a guided walking tour of the supposed murder plot for, where her son had been shipwrecked, and they say, and it's all this stuff about, oh yeah, well, could you have saved him? Well, there was this big hole in his skull where and all the rest of it, and there was no coming back from that. I mean, if I was going to choose a beach where I was going to do this, I wouldn't do it next to where the skeleton is kept. I mean, I'm just saying, Lorrique's not a great plan. Not a great plan there, mate. Francis.
Well, I mean, the point about Lorrique, I think, is that he just bends whichever way the wind blows. And we've seen that right at the beginning, because he he sort of throws his lot in with Hoffman pretty quickly right at the beginning of the play.
Yeah, Aliki.
Yeah, I think quick thinking rather than planning ahead is Lorrique's.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, you know, we got Lucibella dressed in the dead son's clothes, you know, which wasn't clear from the initial stage direction. You know, all we had is with rich clothes, and you know, I didn't know where that was going, but no, she's dressed as Otto.
I thought she was carrying them.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about that.
Yeah.
Oh, was she just carrying them?
Yeah, I think she brings them in.
Yeah.
I prefer the idea that she's wearing them.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
much more macabre.
You know, there's something much crazier. That there's something really. It's just go, what the hell are you wearing? I know those. You know, that sort of runs more to it. But Aliki.
It also answers the question about the skeletons that you asked in the first session. It's like how well hung together they are. They've obviously been tied together with wire or something, because she carries them about, doesn't she? She's like, here's my two friends when they meet her. Or is she by the tree?
Well, she unveils them in some fashion.
Yeah.
Again, the stage direction that we got there is inferred. It's not original. So from the dialogue. But yeah, she's definitely active. I mean, the liar, lick dish. You know, you know, they're all hiding in a bush or in a
Yeah. And then
shrubbery.
she was rushing out with that.
And,
clearly.
yeah, and it's the truth teller element of that, because you know, the inconvenient moments of popping out and just saying, "Well, you're lying." Lois.
Yeah, it makes me wonder whether, in fact, this is a case of someone pretending to be mad, because some of what she comes out with is perfectly sane, and you know, she seems to be really in the play, and then sometimes she's doing a stage mad woman.
Yes, and I feel that the play is probably having its cake and eating it in that sense. I suspect it's both. It's in terms of the logic of the thing, which is a very difficult thing to ask an actor to do. Could you just do two diametrically opposite things simultaneously? Thanks. There's an action for you. I was going to say something else and I forget what it was. But I do like the way the Lorrique, you know, goes. Well, we buried the flesh.
Yeah.
I mean, just and the way Sarah you did that of just trying to make that sound like it's a good thing. Just going.
It was like, well, we buried most of him.
Yeah. Yeah. So yes, it's a good meeting. It's gone well. We'll pick it up from Saxony. Let's hear no more. But in fact, let's hear more of other things.
God, I've got to get myself all worked up again now.
Have a run at it.
And scene.
Let's hear no more. Seek out the hated wretch, and with due torture let his life be forced from his despised body.
Do, I pray, and the whole land will help, and each man be a justice in his act.
Well, I that never knew revenge's power have entertained her newly in my breast. Determine what's to do.
In what you will. Would I were with Rodorick, asleep in the Elysian fields where no fears dwell, where earth appears as vile to me as hell.
Oh, let me be prologue to your scene of wrath, and as the Roman Catiline resolved his doubtful followers by exhausting blood from a live body, so draw mine, cast mine upon the troubled and offended earth, offer blood fit for an infernal sacrifice. Wine is not poured but on celestial offerings. Therefore, I advise you, as you hope to thrive in your revenge, smite me that have been pander to this injury.
Thou merits death indeed.
Stay, judge him not. Let me a little plead in his excuse, and this one sentence serves. A man compelled to evil acts cannot be justly held a wilful malefactor. The law still looks on the deed, and never on the will. Besides, although I grant the matter small and very safe to raise a multitude that might by their power might seize the murderer, yet two especial reasons cross that course. First, Many having notice of our plot, one babbling tongue may utter our intent. And Hoffman, being armed, is surely warned, having the fort and treasure in his power, and by his course more than notorious ill, he may, with gold, maintain it at his will, and scape us, for no doubt he's full of slights. Besides, revenge should have proportion. By sly deceit he acted every wrong. Aye, and by deceit I would have him entrapped. Then the revenge were full, fit, just, and square, and 'twould more vex him, that is all composed but craft and subtlety, to be outstripped in his own fashion than 100 deaths. Therefore, by my advice, pardon Lorrique, upon condition that he lay some plot to intercept the other.
We're
all agreed.
Oh, your mercy doth all bounds of hope exceed. And if you will repose that trust in me, by all the protestations truth can make, before the sun hath run his midday course, I will tomorrow yield him into your hands.
Show us the means.
The means are in the Duchess' policy. If she can smooth the murder but a little,
I'll turn deceit to overthrow his fraud.
then with fair words his flatteries entertain, and when he doth importune you for love, desire him then to show you the first place where he beheld Prince Otto after the rock. Say you have earnestly entreated me, but I have led you in a labyrinth to no effect. He, full of heat and lust, glad of an occasion, will, no doubt, alone conduct you to this fatal horrid cave, thinking, by force or fair means, to attain his false heart's longing and your honour's stain. But, being in the height of his base pride, the Duke, the Hermit, Mathias, and myself will change his pleasures into wretched and remorseless misery.
The plot is good. Madam, are you agreed?
To anything, however desperate.
Aye, but by your leave, lady and lords all, what if this knave that hath been play the knave still and tell tales out of school? How then?
I know not what to swear by. But no soul longs for the sight of endless happiness with more desire than mine thirsts for his death. By all those gods that shall give ill men life, I am resolved chief agent in his end.
We credit thee. Join hands and ring him round. Kneel. On his head lay your right hands and swear vengeance against Hoffman.
Vengeance!
Vengeance!
Vengeance fall on him!
On him!
Sudden death upon us all!
Come, part, we to the cave, you to the court. Justice digs murder's grave.
Exeunt Lorrique and Duchess, rather.
Nay, I will come. My wits are mine again. Now faith grows firm to punish faithless men.
And exit. Yeah. It's one of those questions that's sort of coming out in the chat. It was asked earlier. You know, is Lucibella mad? Mad? She's livid. It's straightforward. There, Aliki.
So just reading her, it seemed quite clear to me that she was, when she heard about her father, who was alive when she left him, that kind of broke the spell, as it were, of her previous madness from the death of her sweetheart.
Mm. I do like the way Lorrique's working the room here by going, not only by going, kill me, I'm to blame, go on. But I also just love the way, I'm a professional. You want to organise a revenge murder killing? I'm your man. Professional rates quoted, available for kids' parties. Lynn.
Yeah, bulk discounts. Lorrique, he's so smart, because what better way to invoke mercy by saying, kill me, I deserve it. Like, just kill me now. Well, yeah. Well, we're not going to kill you, we're going to use you. And the other thing is, I genuinely don't know how this is going to shake out, because it would serve Lorrique's ends to get Hoffman out of the way. It's just like, maybe he's had enough fun. It's time to double cross him and just have it over. But I don't really know. Maybe he's going to double cross and come back to Hoffman's side. I don't know. I honestly don't know. And there's a little perhaps ominous note in the whole cast saying, "Vengeance fall on him, or sudden death upon us all." You don't really need that part of the curse now.
Okay, yeah. Do we want to place our bets as to how many people are who's going to survive, who's going to die? Where do we think it's going to land? Sarah, then Lois.
Having read through that scene, I am beginning to think that Lorrique might actually make it, because, like, at the beginning, I just assumed he was going to die a horrible death because Hoffman told us that he was going to run him through fairly early on. But the very fact that he's, what Lynn was saying, is he going to double cross? Is he going to double cross? Either way, I think he might just wriggle through like the ferret that he is, and go to ground at the end without actually making it. But I have no idea about anyone else. I can imagine there's going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah, the play has been perfectly happy to kill clowns, so all bets are off. No spoilers, Lois.
Yeah, I just like Mathias's idea that okay, the entire cast wants to kill Hoffman, the popular uprising against it, but no, let's not do it that way. Let's do something clever and really annoy him. So that, he'll be so unhappy when he dies because we've been smarter than he is. I mean, it's just this is purely for the sake of the play, obviously.
Yes, he would have got away with it if it wasn't for those pesky dukes. Francis.
Yeah, I was just going to say I agree with Sarah. I think Lorrique is going to come out of this smelling of roses. I mean, because I think we've seen this before in other works we've read, where there's this evil sort of henchman who gets off in the end. I can't remember which plays. I don't have Eric's encyclopedic memory for these things. But I'm sure we've seen this sort of thing before.
Well, let's find out as we go into Act 5, Scene 2. Enter Hoffman as Duke of Prussia and lords in attendance on the Duchess.
Not to be found? Hell, which way is she gone?
Her Highness charged us to call you her son. The mystery we know not, but we know you are not Prince Otho of Luneburg.
No matter who I am. Tell me the way she went with that Lorrique. Speak, or by heaven, hell shall receive you all.
Enter Duchess and Lorrique.
Be not enraged. Here she comes, and with her comes trusty Lorrique.
Ah, madam, I feared for you. My heart was sick with doubt some over-desperate accident had drawn you to the melancholy paths that lie within the verge of this rough scar.
Your doubt was but an embryo. I indeed desired Lorrique to bring me to that place where you beheld the shipwreck of my son, and he hath led me up and down the wood, but never brought me to that fatal beach.
It were not fit you should see the fatal place that still seems dismal since the prince's death.
Dead? Is our sovereign lord the prince dead?
Inquire no more of that. I will anon resolve you of his fate. This time forbear. Esteem this gentleman your lord and prince.
We hold him so, sith you command us so.
Will you go forward, madam?
Willingly. So you will promise me to walk tomorrow and see the earth that gently did receive my son's wrecked body from the churlish foam?
I'll wait upon your grace. Set forward there. Tricks and devices, longings. Well, 'tis good. I'll swim to my desires through seas of blood.
Exeunt all except Lorrique.
Fox, you'll be taken. Hunter, you are fallen into the pit you digged. I laugh to see how I outstrip the prince of villainy. Hoffman for me, told such a smoothing tale that had not this strange accident befallen in finding of the cave, I had been held more dear than ever in the Duchess's eyes. But now she'll hold me hard. Whate'er she'll say, it is her word past that she'll pardon me.
Enter Hoffman.
And I've wealth hoarded up, which I will bear to some strange place. Rich men live anywhere.
Are you gadding, sir? What moves your flight? Coin not excuses in your crouching. Come, what cause have you to fly and seek strange lands for your wealth gotten by my liberal gift?
And my desert, my lord.
Well, be it your desert. But what's the cause you'll fly this country?
As I live, my lord, I have no such intendments, but, with your leave, I was debating things as, if it should chance thus and thus, why then, 'twere better to be far off. But otherwise my love and life low at your service lie.
You are a villain, damned as low as hell, a hypocrite, a fawning hypocrite. I know thy heart. Come, spaniel, up, arise, and think not with your antics and your lies to go beyond me. You have played the slave, betrayed me to the Duchess, told her all, disappointing all my hopes with your base tongue, or turned the height of my intendments, for which I hurl thee from my mountain rack into the lowest cavern of pale death.
Oh, alas, my lord, forbear! Let me be heard.
Thou hast betrayed me, therefore never talk.
Oh, by heaven!
Oh, hell! Why shouldst thou think on heaven?
Stay, and believe me. Think you I am mad? So great a foe to my own happy chance, when things are sorted to so good an end that all is hid, and we held in regard, after such horrid and perfidious acts, not to betray myself. Be reasonable, and think how shallow such an act would seem in me, chief agent in so many ills.
Thou hast a tongue as glib and smooth to lie, as full of false inventions and base fraud, as prone to circumvent believing souls as ever heretic or traitor used, whose speeches are as honey, their acts as gall, their words raise up, but their hands ruin all.
Oh, by virtue's glorious soul!
Blasphemer, peace! Swear not by that thou hatest. Virtue and thou have no more sympathy than day with night, heaven with hell. Thou knowest I know thy villainies excel.
Why then, by villainy, by blood, by slights, by all the horrors torture can present, by hell, and by revenge's purple hand, the Duchess had no conference with me, but only a desire to see the place that first received her son, whom she believes the unrelenting waves and flinty rocks had severed from sweet life after the wreck.
May I believe thee?
Have I failed you yet? Measure my former acts, and you shall find my soul allied to yours, wholly estranged from all I ever loved.
No more. Have done. Thou hast won me to continue thee my friend. What I can tell thee somewhat troubles me. Some dreadful misadventure my soul doubts, and I conceive it with no common thought, but a most potent apprehension, for it confounds the imaginary sense, sometimes inflames my blood, another while numbs all the currents that should comfort life, and I remain as 'twere a senseless stone.
Come, come, I know the cause. You are in love. And to be so, it is to be anything. Do you not love the Duchess?
Yes, I do.
Why, there's the matter. Then be ruled by me. Tomorrow morning she desires to see the shore that first received her sea-wrecked son, and to be unaccompanied she loves, except some one or two, as you and I. Now, when you have her near your dismal cave, force her. Hi! Do it, man! Make no scruple. Do it! Else you shall never win her to your bed. Do a man's part. Please her before she go, or, if you see that she turns violent, shut her perpetual prisoner in that den. Make her a Philomel. Prove Tereus. Do it. Never fear it.
Why, she will be missed.
By whom? By fools. Gross, dull, thick-sighted fools, whom every mist can blind. I'll sway them all with exclamation that the grieved Duchess, when she beheld the sea that drowned her son, stood for a while like weeping Niobe, as if she had been stone. And when we strived with mild persuasion to make her less woe, she, madder than the wife of Athamas, leaped suddenly into the troubled sea, whose surges, greedy of so rich a prey, swallowed her up, while we in vain exclaimed gainst heaven and hell, gainst fortune and her fate.
Oh, my good villain, how I hug thy plots. This shall be done. She's mine. Run swift, slow hours, make a short night, hasten on day apace. Rough arms, wax soft, soft beauty to embrace.
Why so? Now you fear will quickly end.
Thou wilt not talk of this.
Will I be hanged? Now take me for a blab, you'll find me none.
I have another secret, but...
Come, what is't? Come, this breast is yours. My heart's your treasury.
Thou must be secret. 'Tis a thing of weight, concerns thee near.
Where it is near as life, come, pray, you speak.
Hark in thine ear. Be privy to this purpose. Wilt thou swear?
What, to be secret? If the least jot I tell, let all my hopes sink suddenly to hell.
Thou hast thy wish. Down, villain. Keep this close.
And stabs Lorrique.
Unthankful murderer! Is this my meed? Oh, slave! Thou kills my heart in wounding mind. Oh, this thy day. Tomorrow shall be mine.
Oh, fool. Now thou art dead, I need not fear. Yet as thou wert my servant, just and true, I'll hide thee in the ditch, give dogs their due. He that will prove a mercenary slave to murder seldom finds so good a grave. He's gone. I now can spare him. Lorrique, farewell. Commend me to our friends thou meet'st in hell. Next, plot from Mathias and old Saxony. Their ends shall finish our black tragedy.
Exit Hoffman. So yeah, we can infer that they open a trap or something and just push the body down. He talks about dumping in a ditch. I don't know, throw him at the front row of the audience. So yeah, we've got two people tricking each other in a death spiral. One death deferred. I do love the way that Hoffman does it. I have another secret, but. Oh no! Shush! Shush! Come closer! Come closer! Come closer! Come closer! Stab! Yeah, that's yeah, it's and it's all this. Hoffman says, and why precisely are you about to flee the country with all your money and your passport? Explain that to me. What's going on? So, who in the room predicted he was going to make it to the end?
I did. I was convinced he was going to make it to the end, and then he gets stabbed in the very next scene.
Yeah.
But
Mind
he does,
you, he might not be dead. I mean, we had this with Lucibella yesterday. Like, she was stabbed, and we all thought she was dead, but then she wasn't. So maybe he'll come back.
He'll come back mad, going, oh, yes, this is thy day. Tomorrow shall be mine. Good closing line there. That's a good part for someone. I'm trying to decide which part I prefer. Would I want to be Hoffman or would I want to be Lorrique?
played them both now, thanks to you, and they're both really good fun.
Yeah.
Sort of going, which is, you see, Hoffman is one where I'm sort of going, well, there's an age range on that one, you know, I'm sort of going, whereas Lorrique, you could probably keep going for ages. Actually, he could be any age. And might be references in the text or some sort of dating, but you can take that out. Whereas Hoffman has to plausibly be someone's son. So, you know, I'm sort of thinking about that, you know, it's just
but his
one to
father
keep in
could
the
have
back
been
pocket, Lorrique, is quite good.
Yeah. I mean, like, he could be. Yeah, I mean, if his father was, I mean, his father had been in the Admiralty, and then he turned pirate, so he'd obviously had quite a long career, and then he got caught. So, you know,
But he's got to be possibly also the Duchess's, you know, son, you know, because of So he's,
and then the Duchess still has
true.
to be of a desirable age. So even if she gave birth when she was 15, and is now in her 30s.
Hey, she could be hot at 50.
I'm not getting involved. Francis. Francis, yes?
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say it was a really tense scene, actually, because you just didn't know which way it was going to go. So it was very kind of involving, I found.
Yeah, because, you know, it's the scene where Lorrique is you know, pandering to Hoffman's basest instincts to lure him into the trap. And, you know, and it's this thing, this play keeps people telling people things that we, the audience, already know. But it does do it in entertaining and interesting ways. So it's mostly, you know, getting away with it. But there are times sometimes where I'm going, do I need to hear all of this again? But actually, on the whole, I'm going, no, it's fine. I do actually have one criticism of this play, but I'll come to that at the end of the final scene. So far, there is an element of this play which is now slightly annoying me, but it's otherwise it's doing very nicely for me. Sarah.
Yes, I think all the recapping, I think it is warranted, because it's I don't feel that its first job is to act as a recap, actually.
No.
Every time you get a recap in this play, it's actually telling you more about the character who's giving the recap, which is not always the case with these plays. But here I feel very much that, you know, you're being given a specific point of view on what happened in order to learn something about that character. I mean, so it's, you know, it's more deftly done than your average bit of exposition.
Yeah. Because I say, if you don't know what's going on by this point, you are screwed, really, aren't you? Actually, we did say earlier, it doesn't matter what's going on in this court. It doesn't. All that matters is Hoffman going to kill them, and how? You know, the inner lives of any of these courtiers, I don't care. Okay, we have one more scene to do. I say one more scene. I think it's one more scene. But we're definitely rattling towards the end. Act 5, Scene 3. Enter the Duke of Saxony and Mathias.
How little care had we to let her escape, especially in so needful time, when we are vowed to wait upon revenge.
No doubt my uncle's care will keep her safe, nor is she in her fits so violent as she was wont. Look, when my uncle comes, sustaining with one hand a dying man, and on the other side, fair Lucibella supports the fainting body.
Enter Rodorick and Lucibella leading Lorrique, wounded and feeble, but not dead. There is no stage direction saying he died in the previous scene. Anyway, yes, they enter.
Look you here. You marvelled why I went. Why, this man drew me unto him. Can you help him now? Hoffman has huffed him too.
Brother, who is it you bring thus lily pale? Is it not Lorrique?
I am, and 'tis in vain to strive for longer hope. I cannot. Only be provident. I greatly fear this murderous traitor, out of mere suspect, will plot some stratagem against the life of the chaste Duchess. Help her what you can against the violence of that wicked man.
Hast thou not told him what we do intend?
No, as heaven help me in my wretched end. Be confident of that. Now I must fall, never again to rise. Yon know your wrongs. Be careful, princes, to revenge them all.
And Lorrique finally dies. In your own time.
Well, farewell, fellow. Thou art now paid home for all thy counselling and knavery. Good Lord, what very fools are very knaves! Their cunning bodies often want due graves.
Son, daughter, brother, follow my advice. Let us no longer keep this hateful plot, lest we be circumvented.
True, 'tis to put out open arms.
It's now too late. We are beset with soldiers. We must fight. Since it must be, let's draw our swords and to it valiantly.
Enter Lord with soldiers.
Princes, prepare not to resist your foes. We are firm as life unto your blood. The Duchess Martha greets old Saxony. Prince Mathias, Rodorick, and fair Lucibella. To me she hath discovered the damned plots of that perfidious Hoffman, and hath sent these armed soldiers to attend on you.
We thank her highness, but we think in vain both you and we attend. Lorrique lies slain by Hoffman's sly suspicion. It were best we join to apprehend it publicly.
There is no need. Our Duchess hath apparelled her speech in a green livery. She salutes him fair, but her heart, like his actions, is attired in red and blue and sable ornaments.
But tell us where they are.
At hand, she comes with him alone. Her plot is, she comes in happy time for all your good.
Cease words, use deeds. Revenge draws nigh.
Come, set his body like a scarecrow.
And so Lorrique, though dead, is still useful as they prop him up.
This bush shrouds you, this you. Stand close, true soldiers, for revenge!
So they will hide as enter Hoffman and the Duchess.
I wonder much why you ask me for Lorrique. What is Lorrique to you, or what to me? I tell you he is damned. Inquire no more. His name to me is hatefuler than death.
Oh, heaven! What alteration is this? Can I believe you love me as you swore when you are so inconstant to your friend?
He is no friend of mine whom you affect. Pardon me, madam, such a fury reigns over my boiling blood that I envy any on whom you cast an amorous eye.
What? We're grown so loving. Marry, heaven defend. We shall deceive you if you dote on us, for I have sworn to lead a widow's life and never more be termed a married wife.
Aye, but you must.
Must? Use not force, I pray.
Yield to my love, and then, with meekest words and the most humble actions, I'll entreat your sacred beauty. Deny me, I will turn fire more wild than wrath. Come then, agree. If not to marry, then in unseen sports, to quench these lawless heats that burn in me.
What? My adopted son become my lover, and make a wanton minion of his mother? Now, fie upon you, fie! You are too obscene, if like your words your thoughts appear unclean.
By heaven, I do not jest. Go to, believe me. 'Tis well you laugh. Smile on, I like this. Say, will you yield?
At the first, fie, no, that were an abject course. But let us walk into some covert, where are pretty caves, lucky to lovers' suits. For Virgil sings that Dido, being driven by a sharp storm into a Libyan cave, was there enticed by silver-tongued Aeneas to effect. And should you serve me so, I were undone, disgraced in Germany by every boor, who in their rhymes would jest at Martha's name, calling her minion to her cousining son.
Fairer than Dido, or love's amorous queen. I know a cave where in the bright day's eyes looked never but askance through a small crig, or little cranny of the fretted scar. There have I some time lived. There are fit seats to sit and chat and call and kiss and steal love's hidden pleasures. Come, are you disposed to venture entrance? If you be, essay. 'Tis death to quick desire to use delay.
Virtue and modesty bid me say no. Yet trust me, Hoffman, thou art so sweet a man and so beloved of me that I must go.
I'm crowned the king of pleasure.
Slave, thou goest to meet destruction in thy cave.
And Hoffman sees the body of Lorrique.
Who stands here? I am amazed. Nay, slave, stand off.
And
Thy weapons
the
sure.
Duchess with Hoffman's sword, apparently.
The prize is ours. Come forth, dear friends. The murder is in our powers.
Yield thee, base son of shame.
How now? What's here? Am I betrayed by dotage, by the falsehood of a face? Oh, wretched fool, fallen by a woman's hand from high revenge's sphere, the bliss of souls.
Cut out the murderer's tongue.
What do you mean? Whom have I murdered? Wherefore bind you me?
There's justice to punish thy foul crimes.
And they reveal the skeletons.
Look with thy bloodshot eyes on those bare bones and tell me that which dead Lorrique confessed. Who's that, thou villain, that least? Who wast?
Why, Otho, thy son, and that's my father by him.
Oh, merciless and cruel murderer, to leave me childless.
And me husbandless.
Me brotherless. O smooth-tongued hypocrite, how didst thou draw me to my brother's death?
Talk no more to him. He seeks dignity, reason he should receive his desperate hire, and wear his crown made flaming hot with fire. Bring forth the burning crown there.
And enter a lord with the crown. And they're going to force that on Hoffman's head.
Do, old dog. Thou helpst to worry my dead father, and must thou kill me too? 'Tis well, 'tis fit. I, who had sworn unto my father's soul to be revenged on Austria, Saxony, Prussia, Lüneburg, and all their heirs, had prospered in the downfall of some 5, had only 3 to offer to the fiends, and then must fall in love. Oh, wretched eyes that have betrayed my heart, be you accursed. And as the melting drops run from my brows, so fall they on the strings that guide my heart, whereby their oily heat may crack them first. So boil on, thou foolish, idle brain, for giving entertainment to love's thoughts. A man resolved in blood, bound by a vow for no less vengeance than his father's death, yet become amorous of his foe's wife. Oh, sin gainst all conceit, worthy this shame, and all the tortures that the world can name.
Call upon heaven, base wretch, think on thy soul.
In charity and prayer, to no purpose without charity.
We pardon thee, and pray for thy soul's health.
So do not I for yours, nor pardon you. You killed my father, my most warlike father. Thus, as you deal by me, you did by him. But I deserve it that have slacked revenge through fickle beauty and a woman's fraud. But help, the hope of hell, the hope of all despairing men that wring the poor and eat the people up, as greedy beasts the harvest of their spring. That hell, where cowards have their seats prepared, and barbarous asses, such as rough soldiers of reward, and punish true desert with scorned death. I'm sure I have more to say.
Yes, but sadly, you die on a hyphen. And I mean, it is fascinating actually as a way of ending the play. It's not just he gets the last word and it's literally on his sort of cut off final speech. I mean, it's almost like they needed a blackout, curtain drop. It's very It ends as it begins with.
I think the last page might be missing.
It might be, but frankly, I don't see that that's a fundamental problem. I think that's just a great way of ending it. I think it's fabulous. I love the way that they reveal the skeletons and they go, so who are they? And it's me dad and your son. It's just I can't be. We're done. He gets this ridiculously long speech while he's got the singeing head thing going on, which to say we had in Act 1. We had in the very opening of the play. It's sort of everyone who dies actually does get quite a long time to talk about it. Almost everybody gets a nice little death speech, so it is within the logic of the play and within the sort of the aria, the dying aria sort of motif that this play is keen on. Hoffman's dead. I mean, he might not be. He might just. It's just a flesh wound. Fine, Sarah.
Be quite funny if there was a little epilogue where he just comes on, takes the crown off his head, and giggles manically, and then just. No, Hoffman's dead, but nobody else is. I got that completely wrong. I was sure everybody was gonna die, and there is a distinct lack of murders in this final act. But I don't actually mind because we had such a sort of glut of them in the middle of the play that it's actually it's quite refreshing actually that Saxony survives. Well, he was quite a good chap. Lucibella survives. Good on her, and she seems to be coming back to sanity as well. So,
Mathias gets away scot-free for the murder that he committed.
Okay, yeah, we'll draw a veil over that. But the Duchess, she turned out to be a great character.
Yes.
I mean this is actually I'm amazed by the ending of this play, but I actually really like it.
Yeah, and considering some of this is our last Chettle play, considering some of his earlier work, one doesn't necessarily have high hopes for some of his work has disappointed quite a lot. But that may be his collaborators actually. But this on the whole has I think I only have one structural objection to this play. I only have one annoyance. Which is Rodorick. The utter pointlessness of Roderick's plotline.
He ends up being a gun on the mantle that doesn't get used, doesn't he?
Yeah. It's important that someone is there as the alibi thing earlier, but the whole thing of it's your brother in disguise. I'm just going, and it goes nowhere. And it as I was reading Rodorick today, I was just going, why am I here?
Yeah.
And actually, I think he's cuttable. I actually think he's very, because this final act is really tidy, actually, in its use of the surviving characters plus the introduction of the Duchess, and I quite like that. There's something actually very compact about most of this play that is quite tight, and so when you just have this tiny little dangling thread. That just slightly irritates me. But that is such a niggle, because actually you could stage it with him and it would be fine. But and it's not like we've got deep into the mind of Saxony or anything. I still haven't got a clue who he really is or what's going on there. He's just some guy who is there to help with the righting of wrongs at the end. But Rodorick said increasingly little he's in theory about, but he doesn't do anything, and that annoys me. Anyway, Sarah, then Alan.
Yeah, I think you do need the character of the hermit because Hoffman disguises himself as the hermit. And so you then do need a real hermit to actually go, oh, yeah, no, that wasn't me. But, I mean, you could literally call him Hermit. You could call the character Hermit, and he could literally just come on as a hermit, like random hermit for one scene, double him with a couple of other characters. And then, you could cut all that stuff with Rodorick revealing himself to his brother. It is I, your brother, who has been living as a hermit. Because we don't need any of that.
It feels like that was a plot that was a hair that was started, and then the playwright just went, "No, I've got no time for this.
Yeah.
It's not going anywhere." And it's that does sometimes happen, but maybe not. Anyway, Alan, then Lois, then Lynn.
Yeah, I mean, I can see how one could stage some of this today with what we've got in terms of modern plot, modern props, modern lighting effects, and so on. How the hell they did it in open air theatre at the time it was originally produced just completely amazes me. I just don't understand how they would have done it.
Well, I don't know. There's nothing technically complicated. There's some stabbings, there's some poisonings, and there's a glowing hot crown.
You need snap blackouts.
Well, that ending may just be that there's a missing bit at the very end, and that someone says something sententious at the end. But the fact that it feels very modern because he just cuts off mid-sentence, and that's a sort of happy accident, I think, frankly, because I think we'd be disappointed by whatever Saxony said at the end, frankly.
What have we seen? Yes.
Lois.
I was going to say that the two hermits thing, the real hermit and the fake hermit, we've certainly had before, and particularly in Look About You, and I think also in The Blind Beggar. I don't know, since Look About You is anonymous. Maybe Chettle was involved in that one. I mean, he did work with an awful lot of other people, but that might be why he just couldn't stay away from hermits.
Yes, because we did say that at the time. Is we've got disguise plots going on, and then there aren't. It doesn't sort of go anywhere after that moment. It's like that. It's there and it's going. Well, we know they've got the costumes because of the company that it is. Lynn.
Yeah, I thought that somehow Rodorick was going to get blamed for the murders or being mistaken for Hoffman because he said, "Oh, I'm back to my hermit thing because this whole like court intrigue is too much for me." So I thought he kind of withdrew back to the woods, and then they were going to find him accidentally near the bodies, and then he gets killed even though he's innocent. So I thought he was like his purpose was to be another murderer, but no, he's alive at the end. So yeah, it's sort of structurally a little bit of a hiccup.
I mean, that's the plan. The plan is to blame him for for all the stuff, and it's just no, he was over there at the time. He couldn't have done any, and it's like they kill it immediately as a plot line. Which is amusing because it means that Hoffman has to then improvise, and that's when Hoffman's tap dancing gets a bit more manic because it's no longer he's stage managing everything. He's now reacting to things that haven't quite worked, and this is why this is so similar to farce, because there is this farcical element that is when you've got a plan, but then you have to improvise because something unexpected has happened, and it all starts falling apart. And that's what happens in this final unit of action here. This sort of this bit with the Duchess turning up and motivations shifting, and
it's totally farce. It's absolutely farce. I mean. And one odd thing about it, though, that I was also noticing is that it turns a little social critique there at the end. I mean, the one thing that trips Hoffman up is not murderousness, is not revenge, it's not blood, it's lust. That's what. And then in his final speech, he starts talking about like greedy landlords in hell, like all of a sudden he's concerned about social justice. Like what?
Yeah. Well, he's under a lot of stress. So I don't think it's fair to expect him to be completely coherent. I think the ending does work. We haven't had the curse of the final session. It's not that my objection to the play is actually something that happened in Act 2. Needs to be a bit tidier. Otherwise, it's just full of. I mean, it does ask a very important question about us as human beings as to how much we've enjoyed all the death and destruction that this play has meted. 8 people are pretty brutally killed, 9 if you include the father, and probably some other peasants after the revolt got taken out as well. I don't know about Old Stilt. Maybe Old Stilt got taken down too, but I don't think so. Who knows? Lois.
Yeah, and there are two women who aren't being married to anybody at the end. I mean, how can they possibly allow that? I mean, I think you're going to have the Duchess and Saxony fall into each other's arms, and maybe Lucibella can find somebody convenient around the place.
Mathias, her lover's brother,
Matthias
right?
is sort of set up as he's suitably contrite, and that's his redemption. So yeah, let's be really glad that if it is that the final page is missing, that we are missing that, because that would have been shit. So let's be thankful for the vagaries of history there. I don't know. Maybe some people feel that it would have been a lovely match. No. Happy that is the case. But it is very tight, and actually, I feel that with a bit of adaptation, it could also go down to a relatively small company as well. That stage direction earlier about however many you've got spare. We do have these references to great armies coming on and off a couple of times. I don't need them. But otherwise, I do feel it could probably double and turn itself around quite neatly in a really satisfying way. I think it could be a tight little show. Not tiny. You'd still need a good 10 or so people, I think, to make it work. But we're not talking 16 plus, which is where you start going, oh God, we need a bigger budget. This feels plausible and fun in a sick twist. Okay, I think it's time to go around the room for final thoughts. Yes, so I'll go to Francis, returning, missing the middle section. You missed most of the murders. But any final thoughts?
Well, I said on Tuesday that it's a totally bonkers play, and my opinion has not changed. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed the discussion in between the scenes, and I really enjoyed some of the performances as well. I agree with you. Saxon is this sort of impenetrable character. He's just kind of gung-ho and upstanding. Otho was a much more interesting character to read, although he was rather short-lived. Yeah, and I also agree with Sarah that the Duchess was a great character. Yeah.
There's just enough character going on here for it all to work, even though it is all very bold, colours. It's all painted in very, very. But there's definitely enough to play. It's little details. I just love the way that when the Duchess is being led to this solitary plot has brought me to the dismalest grove. I mean, she's going, God, this place is horrible. It is indeed an undelightful walk. It's just an excellent way of putting it. I've been on many of those in my time. Lois, only here for this session, but you know the play. Any final thoughts about it?
Well, I think it could be revived quite successfully. I mean, everybody loved it when it was done. As I said, I think it was about 10 years ago, the Malone Society reading.
Yes, the video is available online still. I say this at the time of release. Things disappear digitally. I will put a link in the show description.
All right. Yes, I'd quite like to watch it. I mean, that had some extremely good people in it, and it was rehearsed. So there was some really quite effective scenes. I can't remember now what they did for the Burning Crown. That always strikes me as the tricky thing to get right. But it was I think it's a fun play, and it reminds you of all sorts of other plays, obviously, which is part of the fun.
Alan, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is, once we realise that you can't actually play it as a straight tragedy, you've got to play it as a pastiche. And milk the laugh lines, because the audience are going to laugh whatever. So you've just got to roll with that from the beginning. And basically as over the top as you can get away with.
Lynn, any final thoughts?
Yeah, there is no top to be over. Definitely. Yeah, this is as close to plug and play as anything we have read in the last year or so. It just I feel that the need for dramaturgical tweaking oh sorry is very light. Hang on.
Shall I come back to you?
Mm.
Yeah, I'll go to Sarah.
I loved it. I love the bonkers plays. This is totally bonkers and yet surprisingly actable. And yeah, I just loved it. And I just to echo what you said, I love the fact that the women don't get married off at the end. You never get that in a comedy. So it's like, it's just so refreshing. Yeah, let's put it on now.
Okay. See you next week. Lynn.
Yeah, the one thing that's like the ending's a little bit of a letdown. And somehow it just doesn't feel very tidy. But you might workshop and massage that. And I do find his very closing lines where he gets all social critique. I'm going to hell with the greedy landlords and the people who've robbed soldiers of their pay and the cowards. Like the play really hasn't been concerned with those social issues before, so it seems a little out of place. Anyway, one thing I would do, just because I am a purpose like this, I guess. So Hoffman dies. Everyone's like, yeah. And they drag his body off stage, and Lorrique stands up. He's got pockets full of gold. He's like, see ya.
Yes, he stabbed him in his money bag, and it saved. It's like the cigarette case that the bullet is stopped in, and that kind of thing. Perfect. Okay, I could go with that. I personally like as high a body count as possible, but I might allow that. Aliki, any final thoughts?
It's already been said several times. Let's do it tomorrow.
I'll say seriously. I could try and tidy it up, and we could see if we could do a second. It'd be a long session. Yes. We'd have to do it in one go. I feel,
Yeah, I really don't think it needs very much for even. I mean, obviously for second look, yeah, but I think you could go to a full production without more than a couple of days' work sorting out the hermit not being Rodorick anymore and stuff like that. It'd be great.
You see, the great thing about tragedy is most tragedy is fundamentally easier to stage than comedy because by and large with comedy there's business and timing and things, whereas with even though this is very funny, with this basically with tragedy you just tell people to walk on stage and be sad, and they don't have to move around very much. I mean, there is potentially a lot here, but if we were starting with say an audio version, then this is absolutely box fresh. I mean, apart from adding a few lines to describe some of the business to do with the skeletons, just to make sure it's clear when they're revealed. Otherwise, it just sort of kind of works, doesn't it? Sarah?
Yeah, and I was going to say it would lend itself very well to audio, I think, this play. Which, I mean, okay, on a practical note, it would get rid of the need to, create a flaming crown. 2 flaming crowns.
Sizzle sound effect, yes.
Yeah, but exactly, sizzle sound effect. But I think just the theatricality of it, and the myriad of ways in which people die, weirdly, you might not think it. Well, I know you wouldn't think this, but people in general might not think that kind of high theatricality would lend itself to audio, but I think it really, really would. Some of the speeches are great, and we should absolutely do, second look, and then an audio production, and then a stage production. And I want to be in all three, please. Just saying.
If you are watching from afar and would like this to happen, do throw us some money on our Patreon page and specific or on Ko-fi.com. We have links in the show description, just send us a wire saying that's what you'd like us to do with the money, and we'll put it in a little pot for it. And your 10 quid will go far. Lynn.
You don't even really have to get rid of Rodorick. I mean,
No.
structurally, he is a little bit of a thread that goes nowhere, but in a way, that's thematically consistent because the play keeps faking us out, right? It's just like, Lorrique's gonna live. No, he's gonna die. No, he's gonna live. No, he's gonna, oh, Hoffman's gonna get caught. Oh no, he talks his way out of it. So in a way, when you have a character, it's like, oh, this is gonna happen. Oh no, it's not. It's kind of what the play has been doing to us all along.
Yeah, he was always we've talked at great length about something that actually is pretty unimportant to me. It's just the only thing I could seriously say that slightly niggles my tidy modern edges, which the early modern doesn't do tidy, frankly. Anyway, I think we've generally made our feelings fairly clear. All that remains is to thank all the wonderful readers for all their wonderful reading. Thank you very much, everyone, and goodbye. Here is a towel, sir.